Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. It's Thursday. I'm going to try to take it easy here, but I do want to do a quick video talk about some altcoins and overall what I'm seeing here. Before I talk about Ethereum, which I think is important to talk about, I'm going to go to the Bitcoin chart here. I already did a live stream. I'm not going to talk too much about it. But the overall thing I want to talk about Bitcoin is this. If you look at the 12-hour chart, you can see that this thing has been doing some pretty systematic thing here. What it does is it consolidates sideways over here for a few days, about a week or so, with Bollinger Band squeezing because of a lack of volatility. This is followed by expansion and a very volatile move because the overall trend now is up. It was a very impulsive move to the upside, right? Until it goes sideways here again for a whole week and then decide to have Bollinger Band contraction because of the lack of volatility. With the contraction comes expansion and a volatile move to the upside, and we just had another move that has just happened with Bollinger Band squeezing very, very tight and now expanding. It looks like it wants to keep riding up on the upper Bollinger Band here for a little while. Sometimes these rides can keep on going up for a long time. Sometimes they get exhausted and just get inside and consolidate sideways. But that's what I'm seeing here with Bitcoin. Now, am I seeing this with all the other altcoins here? Because all the other altcoins are still more or less very much lagging, right? Especially when it comes to Ethereum. What's happening with Ethereum here? Well, you can see something very similar here, as even though it's been lagging, it made a huge catch-up move over here earlier in the month of May with this big Bollinger Band squeeze here, resulting in big Bollinger Band expansion, huge volatility to the upside. And it decided to do a very similar thing as it did before, which is to go sideways here for about a week or so, touch the low Bollinger Band, decide to reclaim the reclaim the upper part of the Bollinger Band here. And right now, Bollinger Band is squeezing and starting to expand here, and the move looks like it's going to be up because it's pushing on the upper Bollinger Band here. And if what I think is going to happen is going to happen, I think the impulsiveness is going to move to the upside here for Ethereum. I think it's consolidated sideways here for long enough, kind of like it did over here, kind of like it did over here. It could keep going sideways here for another day or two. I don't know, But overall, this Bollinger Band squeeze here is telling me a big move is coming, and the fact that we're reclaiming this median average over here tells me that most likely it will end up breaking up here to the upside here with the next move. Basically very similar to what Bitcoin has been doing. It's just kind of lagging behind. What else do I see this with? Well, I see this with Dogecoin. Dogecoin's also got a Bollinger Band squeeze, kind of like it did over here. Kind of like it did over here. It looks like it wants to grab it up to the upper Bollinger Band here. There are a lot of other coins here that are a little bit lagging. Shiba is a little bit lagging. Bonk is a little bit lagging. Pepe is looking like it wants to do the same thing with the squeeze and expansion. It looks like all of these are wanting to do a very, very similar thing. Now, going back to Ethereum here before I move on to other things, I do think that once it has confirmed that it's reclaimed the 0.382 here at linear fib here from resistance to support, which it has really been pretty decent support here for a while. This this linear fib was drawn basically from the cycle high to cycle low over here, and 0.382 is generally a pretty important zone. You can see it was previously support here, turn resistance, support. It was supposed to be resistance, but it just ended up breaking through, and we back tested it here. So I think we have a pretty good chance to have some further bullish continuation. We also have been trying to get to the Ichimoku cloud here on the weekly. On the 2-week, we are now breaking inside the 2-week Ichimoku cloud, and on the monthly, we're in the process of forming a morning star pattern, which is bullish, and we are trying to penetrate the monthly Ichimoku cloud over here. So a lot of really positive developments are happening. Now, going back to the 12-hour chart to try and get an idea in terms of whether or not this pattern is happening across the board here. XRP is not quite there yet. It's still trying to break above the median line over here. So it's not really across the board. But if you look at the daily chart, which is probably more of a tailing kind of sign here in terms of what's happening, you can see if you look at Ethereum here as an example, it really is kind of got like an inverted head and shoulder pattern, a breakout kind of pattern. Although this breakout is very, very impulsive. It's not even back testing any of the horizontal zone below. XRP, not as impulsive, right? Breakout, back test the area, still holding a rising 20-day moving average. Doge, essentially inverted head and shoulder here, breakout, not even bothering back tested that zone. It's still heading in space. Shiba, inverted head and shoulder pattern, back test, so far holding very well, right? Bonk, you actually have a little bit of a leg up here. It's not really inverted head and shoulder. It's already broken out about pipette, inverted head and shoulder here, already broken out. It's not even bothering to backtest that zone right down there, right? It's basically happening across the board here. AVAX or Avalanche doing the same thing, Link doing the same thing, ADA doing the same thing. AMP, which is a coin that I have, is a little bit lower cap, is doing the same thing. XLM's doing the same thing. HBAR's doing the same thing. Solana's doing the same thing. If you look at the others chart, which is basically the cryptocurrency market cap excluding top 10 coins, is doing the same thing. Head and shoulder, inverted head and shoulder pattern, breakout, backtest, rising 20-day moving average. All these things are looking pretty decent, right? Broken through about the cloud here. Look at the 12-hour chart here. If I do the 12-hour chart and I would do the Bollinger Band, it's not as squeezy as Ethereum. It's not as squeezy as Dogecoin, but you can see very similar thing happening here. Consolidating sideways, Bollinger Band squeeze, next move up. Consolidating sideways here, Bollinger Band can't squeeze a little bit, the next move up, right? That's what is happening all across different cryptocurrencies. So I just want to see and recognize this pattern, and it looks like it is trying to push up on the upper Bollinger Band all the way up here, but it's just kind of waiting for it to happen, with the Bollinger Band starting to kind of expand here a little bit. That's kind of what I'm seeing across the board here, and this pattern actually is also seen in a lot of Bitcoin miners here as well, which is interesting. If you look at Mara, you can see that instead of the Bollinger Band squeeze and expansion, you can see the inverted head and shoulder with a back test here, Clean Spark inverted head and shoulder with a back test, Cyber inverted head and shoulder with a back test, right? Bitfarm is forming an inverted head and shoulder here. Iron, not very well formed right shoulder here, but it looks like it wants to break out. Wolf inverted head and shoulder with a back test here. BTBT is trying to form an inverted shoulder here on the right side. Riot inverted head and shoulder with a back test. HUD8 inverted head and shoulder already push out above, right? Cores, same thing, inverted head and shoulder-ish, already broken out. BitDeer, Hive is doing the same thing, right? Hive is having inverted head and shoulder with a push out. BitDeer is also doing the same thing. So as far as I'm concerned, all these are doing the same thing, but they're just not quite ready yet. We simply just don't have that escape velocity happening yet, because they're still underneath a lot of resistance and they probably need time to kind of break above. I've already spent a long time talking about the miners yesterday on my live stream, so I just wanted to take a quick look and kind of focus on all of these different altcoins. But Ethereum is still going to be queen. Bitcoin's king, Ethereum is going to be queen, and it is close to about 10% of the entire cryptocurrency market cap. So whatever Ethereum ends up doing on the next step could set the tone for what there is to come afterwards. And based on what I'm seeing, it looks like Ethereum wants to squeeze higher, is kind of what I'm seeing here. So let's hope that it works out. If it doesn't, then never mind. I'm still not going to delete my channel. I'm still going to make videos anyway, because these are just ideas that I'm trying to share. They could work out, they may not, but I see something, I'm going to talk about it. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye.